came to see me. Dad, slow down, I'm worrying about you, because boom, he knows that I spend time with my amateurs. You know me, both of y'all know me very well.
Yeah.
Don't I spend time with my amateurs?
Yeah.
All the time. That's my piece.
Tank's decision to not work with Calvin Ford before the controversial Roach fight had people talking. And while most assured us it was temporary, it now seems this might be how things permanently stand, and Kenny Ellis is not impressed by Tank's moves.
Something is definitely going on between Calvin Ford and Gervonta Davis. Now, we all seen that knockdown in the night.
I got Calvin tattooed on me. Calvin ain't going nowhere. Calvin is Pops, he ain't going anywhere, Gervonta Davis said just 6 weeks before the Lamont Roach fight. But when fight night arrived, Calvin Ford was nowhere to be seen in Davis's corner. Instead, Barry Hunter was there and Ford was watching from a distance. And then came the result, Davis's first non-victory fight in his career.
Calvin is Calvin, you know what I mean? I got Calvin tatted on me. Calvin ain't going nowhere. Y'all don't even know Calvin for CCO.
While many believe this was just a one-time change, new statements from Davis suggest otherwise. For years, Tank's camp had been rock solid. Ford and Kenny Ellis weren't just his trainers, they were family. It was like Mike Tyson and Cus D'Amato. If you wanted a more modern example, think Canelo and Eddie Reynoso, or even Pacquiao Roach. That was the level of connection Gervonta Davis, Calvin Ford, and Kenny Ellis had built.
They never separated, you know?
I guess it's because of Tank's comment, because he was asked if Coach Calvin was in his corner. He said, we'll see.
Right, because it's nobody's business, but, you know, he didn't mean anything by that, you know?
Facts. There you go.
They forever.
But that foundation is shaking. So what changed? Ford himself tried to downplay it when he spoke with Fight Hub TV. Davis was making his second PBC Amazon Prime Video PPV appearance, headlining a stacked card at the Barclays Center. But the biggest story leading into the fight wasn't about Davis's opponent. It was about who wasn't going to be in his corner. Ford tried to make it sound simple. I'm still part of it, just from a different perspective, he said. He seemed excited about the fight. He knew Davis was training hard. He respected Lamont Roach and remembered how much he and Tank had sparred together in the past. He even called it a great opportunity for Roach.
Why you wouldn't pick it up? Right. And so I think it was maybe a lack of focus just for a little bit, and we'll fix that. But nevertheless, I think that made that fight a draw.
And then he said something that made people stop and think. We ain't changing anything. But clearly, something had changed. He insisted he had just taken a step back, that the training structure remained the same. The interviewer wasn't convinced. They weren't trying to imply there had been a falling out, but they had to ask, did this separation actually make the bond stronger? Sometimes people step away for a while, only to come back more connected than ever. Ford seemed to hesitate for a second before responding. No, he came to see me dead, slow down and worrying about you because boom, he knows that I spend time with my amateurs. You know me. Both of y'all know me very well. I spend time with my amateurs all the time. That's my piece, Ford explained. He wasn't training Tank directly, but he still felt connected to him. But the real question was, did Tank feel the same? Barry Hunter tried to assure everyone that nothing was wrong. Calvin will be there, Coach Barry will be there, Coach Boogie will be there, and Kenny will be there as well, he said in an interview.
I think he's going to have Calvin in his corner this time. I think he will have Kenny, but he's not going to have Calvin. I think that's probably going to be like an advantage for you since he's going to have somebody new in his corner, if I'm not mistaken.
More than likely, I think that's...
According to Hunter, this wasn't even the first time changes had happened in Tank's corner. He insisted it was normal. He had been part of the team for years, ever since Davis was an amateur. He knew how the internet loved to create drama out of nothing. But as reassuring as Hunter tried to sound, the truth was coming out. Because when Davis himself finally spoke on the situation, it wasn't what people expected. I understand Calvin has been like family, but right now I need to focus more than ever in my career. So I'll be looking at other options with the time I've got remaining. That wasn't just Tank talking about a temporary change. That was Tank admitting he was moving on. And suddenly, that old quote, Calvin ain't going anywhere, didn't mean anything anymore. If there were any doubts before, they are gone now. Gervonta Davis is leaving Calvin Ford behind.
Wrestling fight, you know what I'm saying? Because Roach always, he come to fight. I mean, I think it's a great fight. Everybody talking all that stuff about, why Roach? Because he signed and took the fight, you know what I'm saying? And it's good for the community.
And Kenny Ellis? He doesn't seem happy about it. We built this together. You don't just walk away from family like that, Ellis said. He isn't the only one. Even within Tank's inner circle, people are questioning his decision. Did he really need to leave Ford behind? Is this really about his career? Or is something else happening behind the scenes? Some believe it was about control. For years, Davis had been known as one of the most naturally gifted fighters in the sport. A knockout artist with devastating power. But there were always whispers that he wasn't in control of his own career, that he was being guided too much.
It's knowing the fighter, but knowing the corner too. He did tell me, he said, he probably gonna come out a little harder the next round. They probably told him something. And then I guess when you go back and watch it, they did give him a little, like.
First, it was Floyd Mayweather, who many said had too much influence over Tank's choices. Now, with Floyd out of the picture, was Tank trying to prove he could do things his way? Or was there tension between him and Ford that no one was talking about? Ford has been with Davis since the beginning. He has taken him from a young, hungry fighter in Baltimore to one of boxing's biggest stars. If anyone knows Davis better than he knows himself, it is Calvin Ford, and maybe that is the problem. Maybe Tank wants a fresh start, a new coach, a new approach, a new direction.
Because when I step back in the head biggest James, and I haven't been there, it brought back so much memories. When we first started off, and him seeing all us working together, he was happy. And at the end of the day, what it's about.
He wasn't saying it directly, but the message was clear. He wasn't overseeing working with Ford again. Ford, for his part, hadn't said much. But those close to him said he was hurt. He had dedicated his life to Tank, believed in him, pushed him. Even when Mayweather and others tried to pull Davis in different directions, Ford was always the one keeping him grounded. And now, Davis is walking away. Kenny Ellis, meanwhile, wasn't keeping quiet. For years, Ellis had been right there beside Ford, training Davis, guiding him, being part of that core team. To see it all breaking apart like this, it didn't sit right with him.
Cal, you gotta calm down. Listen to me.
Hey, come on now. He's trying to get it.
Tank kept hold of his WBA lightweight world title in Brooklyn after a majority draw with Lamont Roach Jr. Though Roach stepped through the ropes as a heavy underdog, he impressed with his work and made it an extremely close 12 rounds. With scores of 115, 113 to Davis, and two 114 to 114s, the challenger was just a round away from causing a huge upset. The result then is a sore one for Roach, since Tank Davis took a knee in the 9th round but was not given a count by referee Steve Willis. A huge majority of big names in the sport have criticized the decision.
I just hope that he can find peace, because he's got a lot of pain.
The New York State Athletic Commission looked into the matter, however ruled to keep the result a draw. Roach has now responded to the development via X, formerly Twitter. Look man, I'm gonna tell y'all straight up, I ain't sue nobody. My team submitted an appeal on my behalf. What does it look like not having a team that doesn't pull that trigger on some S that they know was wrong? They stood up for me, so all that lawsuit shit y'all can put to rest. I'm not surprised about the decision by the NY SAC. A little disappointed, yeah, especially when they acknowledged the fact that Steve made the wrong calls in the 9th round. But I wasn't banking on the overturn. Everyone knows I won the fight and I'm satisfied with that. Part 2 on the way.
Tell y'all straight up, I ain't sue nobody. Shut the F up. My team submitted an appeal on my behalf. What it looked like not having a team that don't pull that trigger on some that they know was wrong. They stood up for me, so all that lawsuit stuff, y'all can put to rest. He goes on to say, I'm not surprised about the decision by the New York State Athletic Commission, a little disappointed.
The WBA may still order an immediate rematch, something Davis has welcomed and says he could be ready for it as early as May. But behind the scenes, things aren't looking smooth for Tank. The controversy surrounding the fight has opened a bigger conversation about his career, especially after his split from Calvin Ford. Many believe that Ford's absence played a major role in Davis's performance, and the fact that the fight ended in a draw has only fueled that belief.
You said, hopefully you can get the rematch with Lamont next, but everybody looks at you as the face of boxing and as somebody who calls the shots. Do you want that rematch next? And if so, how likely it is that we're to see that fight happen again this year?
I'm not sure, bro. I'm definitely not sure, but hope.
Kenny Ellis, who had already voiced frustration over Davis distancing himself from Ford, didn't hold back when asked about the result. You don't fix what ain't broken. You see what happens when people think they know better? Calvin and I have been guiding that boy for years. He takes us out of the equation, and look what happens. A damn draw, Ellis said. Many in the boxing community are echoing the same sentiment. Fans who once saw Davis as an unstoppable knockout machine are now questioning whether he made a mistake by changing up his corner. Even some of his own supporters have been vocal about it, with one viral post on X reading, "Tank ain't looked the same without Ford in his corner. That Roach fight was not it."
So everything is good with Calvin because it's the first time he's not the head trainer in a while.
Yeah, for sure. Calvin is, again, I said Calvin is pops. You know?
Davis, on the other hand, doesn't seem shaken. Despite all the noise, he's standing by his decision to move on from Ford and focus on new coaching options. But while Davis remains confident in his decision, the boxing world isn't convinced. With the WBA still considering a rematch, the pressure is on. If the fight happens in May and Davis doesn't put on a dominant performance, the talk will only get louder. If he struggles again, the criticism will hit even harder. Meanwhile, Lamont Roach Jr. is keeping the same energy. He knows he did enough to win the first fight, and now he's ready to do it again, this time with the judges getting it right. "Everyone know I won the fight, and I'm satisfied with that. Part 2 on the way," he said.
He caught me with a good shot, but it was times that I sat in there with him and I'm like, damn, this guy like super slow. Well, not super slow, but he's slow, and I could have took advantage of. I think I was boxing too much in the beginning, and when I feel like...
For Davis, this rematch could be a defining moment in his career. A convincing win could silence the doubters and prove he doesn't need Calvin Ford. But if Roach gives him trouble again, or worse, pulls off the upset, then all the questions about Ford's absence will turn into undeniable facts. Right now, Davis is standing firm in his decision. But with everything on the line, how long can he really ignore the pressure? While both fighters expressed interest in running it back, Davis revealed that a second bout with Roach probably won't be this year.
Tank, you lost that fight. I mean, the only reason they gave you the fight was because you would make more money as a champion, but there's no way it's a draw, and they didn't call the knockdown. If they called a knockdown, you lost.
Speaking at the post-fight press conference at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York, Davis admitted that while he wants the rematch, it won't be his next fight. Instead, the undefeated star left the boxing world on edge with a cryptic tease. "You might see it in a minute," Davis said when asked about his next bout. "You definitely might see it in a minute. See y'all soon. I'll be back." That response sent social media into a frenzy, with fans and analysts immediately speculating about his next move. If it's not Roach next, then who? Could it be a voluntary defense against a lesser-known opponent? Or is Davis setting up for something much bigger? Davis's carefully worded response has fueled speculation that his next opponent could be none other than fellow undefeated star Shakur Stevenson. The two have been linked for years, and Stevenson has actively campaigned for a fight with Tank. Their growing rivalry, combined with the anticipation of seeing two elite boxers at the peak of their careers, has made this one of the most sought-after matchups in the sport.
What was your pick? And you said you would reveal it afterwards. 12 rounds, we're doing a decision, but reminder this thing, I think I'm
Adding fuel to the fire, Stevenson was in attendance for Davis's bout against Roach. Before the fight, he called it a 50 to 50 inches matchup, hinting at the possibility of stepping into the ring with Davis soon. Stevenson recently secured a 9th-round TKO victory over Josh Padley, putting him on a similar schedule as Davis for a potential showdown. The timing couldn't be more perfect. A fight between Davis and Stevenson would be a defining moment for the lightweight division, with both fighters holding undefeated records and looking to establish themselves as the best at 135 pounds. Given their recent performances and ongoing trash talk, boxing fans are hopeful that this long-anticipated clash could finally happen next.
Tank did what he had to do, you feel me? I think that, listen, it's a great fight. Maybe they should do a rematch. I think that should be something that everybody is up in the air, so I think it'll make more sense and more eyes for everybody as well.
Shakur Stevenson was in attendance, so do you think
Davis has always been known to make strategic career moves. With Floyd Mayweather no longer guiding him, he now has full control over his decisions. While he has been selective with opponents in the past, a fight with Stevenson is one that could cement his legacy. Stevenson, on the other hand, has been vocal about his frustrations with getting big fights. Facing Davis would be his ultimate chance to prove himself as the top dog at lightweight. For now, Davis has left the boxing world waiting. But with his latest tease, it's clear that something big is on the horizon. Whether it's Stevenson or another high-profile challenger, fans won't have to wait long to see Tank back in action. At the moment, Roach managed to land a blow to the face of Davis. Gervonta reacted immediately, falling to his knees and briefly touching the canvas.
They reversed the result of your fight.
Yeah.
Should they reverse the result of that fight as well?
Just depends. Like if that changes the whole fight, if that gives Roach a victory, give him the victory. That's how you keep the integrity of the sport, right? That's why they suspended me, right? To keep the integrity of the sport. So.
Although what happened could have been considered a knockdown under boxing rules, the referee surprised everyone by not starting the count. Instead, Davis quickly got up and went to his corner where he took a towel to wipe his eyes as he explained that the sweat from his hair was burning his eyes. That referee's error made the difference in the judges' scorecards, which gave a draw, and that is where all the commotion would begin. Even though Davis remains undefeated, the way the fight ended has left a sour taste in the mouths of many fans. Some believe Roach was outright robbed of a career-defining victory, while others argue that even with the knockdown, the fight was close enough to justify a draw.
I'm still rooting with him. I saw the negativity and people, critics talking, but I think he's one hell of a fighter, and I think he's still the top dog.
Boxing fans are used to controversial decisions, but this one feels different. The fact that the referee failed to count the knockdown has turned this into one of the sport's biggest recent scandals. Many fighters, trainers, and analysts have since weighed in, calling the decision unfair. Even Davis's biggest supporters are finding it hard to defend what happened. The New York State Athletic Commission is closely evaluating what happened in the 9th round of the thrilling showdown between Gervonta "Tank" Davis and Lamont Roach. Uncertainty is growing as the outcome of that round could have a significant impact on the final result.
He take a knee. You need to lose like 10-8 that round at least, no? And plus the corner go up and put a towel in the face. That's a disqualification for sure. I'm talking about the rules, but
Even Lamont Roach Jr.'s lawyers have filed evidence in the record and are seeking to have their client declared the winner. It looks like there are going to be days of tension and possible surprises. The commission's decision could shake up the lightweight division. If they rule in Roach's favor, Davis could potentially lose his title on appeal, something rarely seen in boxing. However, history has shown that commissions are hesitant to overturn results unless there is overwhelming evidence of wrongdoing. For now, Davis remains the WBA champion, but the pressure is mounting. If the commission finds that the referee made a critical mistake, it could force the WBA's hand in ordering an immediate rematch. That would mean Davis might not have the luxury of choosing his next opponent after all.
We literally saw the mental breakdown of Tank. Like, again, if you got that elite level eye, you know what you saw. He was intimidated by Roach, and it was like baffling to see. Why was he moving? Because to me, he was intimidated by Roach. To me...
However, Eddie Hearn doubts that the New York Athletic Commission will overturn the 12-round majority draw between Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach in their fight in Brooklyn. Although Hearn believes that a knockdown in the 9th round should have been counted, he doesn't see the commission reversing the decision. He not hurt, but if you go down on your knees and touch the floor while punches are being thrown, it's a knockdown, said the promoter to Fight Hype. Hearn's opinion carries weight in the boxing world. He has seen plenty of controversial decisions over the years and understands how boxing politics work. He doesn't expect Roach to get the win on appeal, but he does believe the controversy could light a fire under Davis. He'll be back stronger, but let's be real. This wasn't his best night. He needs to come back and make a statement, whether it's against Roach, Stevenson, or someone else, Hearn said.
Because Tank knew every time he was throwing something, he was getting caught with something. And this enabled Tank from sitting down on his punches. When he has opponents in front of him who he knows is going to fear him and run away, he's sitting down on every shot and he's throwing everything into them. With Roach, he was unable to do that because Lamont was throwing back. And this, my friends...
That statement alone shows that Davis is in a tricky situation. If he avoids the rematch with Roach, critics will say he's ducking him, especially since the controversy surrounding the 9th round knockdown has not died down. Many believe Roach deserved the win, and skipping a rematch would only add to the narrative that Davis was given a gift decision. On the other hand, if he chooses to fight Stevenson next, it will be seen as a strategic move to escape the controversy while still taking on a high-profile challenge. Stevenson is an elite fighter, but Davis would be shifting focus away from the Roach situation rather than addressing it head-on. Either way, he needs to put on a dominant performance in his next fight to silence his doubters and reestablish his place as the top fighter at lightweight.
Roach, let me tell you something. Tank got spanked. Roach should have won. And Tank even dropped to his knee. It should have been called a knock.
The lightweight division has never been more stacked, and Davis's next move could define his career. Will he go for redemption against Roach? Will he risk it all against Stevenson? Or will he take an unexpected route? The answers should come soon, but one thing is certain. Gervonta Davis is at a career crossroads, and the whole boxing world is watching. What's your take? Share your thoughts below and subscribe for more updates.